start. Introduce myself. My name is Owen Harrington-Fernandez. I'm in the Spanish section in Links in the School of Social Science. Here to my left is Daniel and Louise. They'll be doing the BSL interpreting for this talk. Hope you've had a nice day so far. If you haven't got a chance to come and talk to us at the stand, I would encourage you to do so. We have 3 members of staff ready to talk to you about our programs, entry requirements, anything to do with the university. And we also have student ambassadors who are very important because they'll be able to get a student perspective on everyday life here at Heriot-Watt. So I'm going to ask you for 20 minutes to tell you who we are, what we do, and why we do what we are, why we do it the way we do. After that 20 minutes, I'm going to leave a couple of minutes for questions and answers, and after that, I'm going to offer you a tour of our building, of Henry Price, so that you can see our facilities. I'm going to talk a little bit about the facilities during the presentation, but I think it's great for you to give you the opportunity to see it firsthand, to see what we work with. So, for now, who are we? Well, we're the Languages and Intercultural Studies Department at Heriot-Watt. That much you know. We have an international reputation for translation and interpreting, so that's what we're known for. But our main aim is to foment and to develop communication skills to give you the best possible opportunity to forge a future career in what is a very competitive market. This is our linguistic profile, so we work with French, Spanish, German, BSL, and Chinese. We offer Chinese with an asterisk in as much as we offer it with the International Business Management Program, which I will talk about in a couple of minutes. So the reason you're here is because you have a qualification or you're aiming for a qualification in 1 or 2 of those languages and you're thinking of studying them at third level education. What we do is we take that passion that you have for languages and we veer away from the traditional model of language teaching, and we go beyond just learning how to speak the language. We turn that passion that you have for languages into something concrete, something tangible, something that helps you find your path towards the labour market, to industry. And it's something that we've always done, and it's something that I can reinforce by telling you where we are positioned in the national and international scene. I can tell you, for example, that we are one of the few members in the UK, and not only just one of the few members in the UK, but one of the founding members of CUT, which is the professional body that instills a sense of excellence in teaching conference interpreting in third level education. Conference interpreting, just as a snap lesson, is when somebody speaks in one language, gives a speech, and then an interpreting professional does that same speech in a different language. That's what we do here. We were the first in Scotland to offer a program of that type at undergraduate level, and it's something that we've been doing for 50 years. We are also a member of the National Network for Translation and Interpreting in the UK, which is the UK body that oversees constant cooperation between the market and the classroom, how translation and interpreting is taught at third level education. Our BSL programs are recognized and accredited nationally by the NRCBD, which is the National Registry for Communication Professionals working with deaf and deafblind people, and the Scottish Association for Sign Language Interpreters. So our BSL programs are recognized by the 2 relevant institutions in the UK, and we're also an official member of the Chartered Institute of Linguistics, which is the main membership body for language professionals in the UK. So as you can see, we have close ties with industry, which explains the reason why we've attained good results in recent years. So in the NSS, we've been ranked as number 1 for languages in Scotland. That's an 89% satisfaction rate amongst people that left, that were in 4th year last year and left. 89% satisfaction rate. That also means we're in the top 10 in the UK. We're number 1 for employability, according to the latest Guardian University rankings. And our own internal data tells us that over 90% of language graduates are in employment or pursuing a postgraduate career within 6 months of leaving Heriot-Watt. So, why is that? It's really down to the programs that we have designed. As you see, we have 5 We have the translation and interpreting programs, the first two here. That's really what we're best known for. It's what our reputation is built upon. So the first one, the AMA in Languages, Interpreting and Translating, specializes in interpreting studies. The second one, Applied Languages and Translating, what we call ALT, specializes in translation. The good news about these two programs is, in first year, they're the same. In second year, they're also the same. You do some translation work, you do some interpreting work. In third year, we send you to a year abroad, where if you're studying two languages, you'll do one stint in one country, a second stint in a second country, and then you'll come back to us in fourth year. And this is where they diverge. This is where you get to decide, with your previous experience in university, you'll decide whether you want to specialize in interpreting studies and translation, which is good news. It means that you're not shackled or you haven't committed to one from the very beginning, and we give you the flexibility to change your mind during those 4 years that you're with us. The third program, the AMA in Applied Language Studies, it gives you an opportunity to focus on one language, although we do also encourage you to take a second one. But the reason we have a focus on one language here is to give you a lot more flexibility. So this is about giving you the chance to pick as many options or as many electives as you want, to experience modules from across the university, from different faculties. So it's almost that build your own degree. The fourth one, the MA in BSL in British Sign Language, as I've told you, it's accredited by the two main bodies, and it's also the first of its kind at undergraduate level in Scotland. This last one, the MA in International Business Management and Languages, is a sort of 50-50 degree. So 50% in business management, doing modules in accountancy, in finance, in things like human resources, and then the other 50% in a language. But those modules in a language are geared to demonstrate the integral part that languages play in national and multinational industries. So, knowing all of this, what is it that you need to come and study with us? Well, if you're in Scotland, your hires, you need 3 A's and a B, and one of the A's has to be in a language that you're intending to study. At A level, you're looking for 3 B's with a B in the language that you're looking to study with us as well. And you need English at minimum GCSE, Intermediate 2, or National 5. We have a stand just out here for recruitment and admissions questions, so if you have any specific questions about that, I do encourage you to go and talk to them. What I will say to you is that we get over 2,000 applications here, and about 1 in 7 end up studying at Heriot-Watt University, so make the most of your application. Now, so that's who we are, that's what we do. Let me talk to you a little bit about where we are and what kind of facilities we use. We have 3 state-of-the-art interpreting labs. And when I say state-of-the-art, it's not a throwaway comment. This is the equipment and the kind of hardware and the software that they use in the EU, that they use in the UN headquarters. So if you're ever watching the BBC and you see 2 prime ministers from different countries having a conversation with a headset and an interpreter behind them, they're using the kind of equipment that we have in Henry Price, that we have in Links. We also have 2 dedicated labs for language learning. This is to help you develop your spoken and your listening skills in language to make sure that you can give the best version of yourself in an interpreting class and in a translation class. We also have a language lab that is specifically designed for sign language training. We have a self-study lab with a number of computers and a number of pods for students to come and go and make sure that they have a space to study, and we also have a recording studio that students can avail of. This is one of those interpreting labs. This is ILA, it's kind of our crown jewel. And it allows us to do things like what you see in this picture, which is a mini conference. So it's replicating or simulating a real life work environment. And it's the students here that are facilitating this multilingual event. So having something like this is very important to us because it's all about recreating that work experience, that work environment that you're going to need to have experience in after Heriot-Watt. So, reasons to study with us. You've heard me talk here for about 15 minutes. let me just run through the headlines. As you can see, our degrees are focused on professionalism, but one of the reasons we can do that is because our staff are all either currently or have been translators and interpreters at national or at international level. So we can take that experience that we have and build the materials and carry out classes with that information, with that knowledge, for the benefit of the students. We have the state-of-the-art equipment, and we have close ties with industry at local and international markets. You've seen the kind of associations that we're members of, but I'm going to use another example to demonstrate this. Recently, the Spanish Film Festival of Edinburgh was here, and we're major sponsors of that event, and as such, it meant that our students, fourth-year students and MSc students, were given the opportunity to do a bit of work experience with that Edinburgh Film Festival. So they got invaluable opportunity to facilitate communication in an event where some people may have been monolingual speakers of Spanish or monolingual speakers of English, and it was our students that got the opportunity to make sure that event ran smoothly. We also pursue a culture of excellence here, and I'll use something that happened recently here to demonstrate this as well. The EU, which is kind of the dream if you're training as an interpreter, the EU division that trains interpreters and accredits interpreters, were recently here giving a master class to our students, giving them visual classrooms as well, giving them advice on how to develop and make the most of their opportunities and how to develop their career in the best way possible, and just give them the experience of working with people who have been there and done it at the highest level. We have our own student services here, including in that the career guidance, which is something that you can keep in touch with throughout the 4 years. We also have a learning platform online, what we call Vision, and the idea here is to have all the material available 24 hours, 7 days a week for the students to use whenever they want. The idea being here is that we're empowering the students. We're trying to inculcate in the students a sense of autonomy so that they're fully involved in their education, in their preparation for a future career. And all of this can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, which is why every first year that comes into Heriot-Watt, that comes into Links, is assigned a member of staff as a personal tutor. And our role as a personal tutor is, at the beginning, to make sure you integrate smoothly into your new academic environment, to make sure that you're choosing the modules that match the objectives that you've set for yourself, but also throughout the 4 years to check in, make sure everything is okay, to make sure that the wheels aren't coming off, and if they are, to address it quickly and point you in the right direction to make sure that everything goes fine for the 4 years that you're here with us. So, what kind of opportunities does a degree from Heriot-Watt give you? Well, let me run through some graduate profiles. This is Lizzie Ann, who did Links, so she specialised in interpreting studies. She's now permanent on staff at the Legislative Assembly of Ontario in Canada. She's a court interpreter in Canada. This is Ross, who is living the dream. He is a permanent EU interpreter in the English booth in EU Parliament. So if I go back to that example from the BBC and you see Theresa May speaking or speaking to somebody else, that might well be Ross who's doing that interpretation. There are two very obvious pathways. So if you're with us, translation and interpreting are absolutely opportunities that you have, but they're not the only ones. A degree in languages, a degree in communications opens up a number of choices. And I'll use Anna here as an example. Anna was identified for her report writing skills, for her research skills, for her skills to synthesize information by a Dutch television company, and she worked for them for a number of years. She was then headhunted by Reuters International, worked with Reuters International for a number of years as an in-house translator, and is now a producer for ITV. And most impressively of all, she's recently interviewed Brad Pitt. So if you do a degree in translation and interpreting, you may just get to interview somebody like Brad Pitt. We also have something that I want to turn your attention to. We have this prize, the Fiona Watson Memorial Prize for 4th years. It's a very coveted prize, and it's commemorated with a nice present and a nice ceremony, but most importantly of all, it gives the winner of this prize, a 3-month internship at the UN headquarters in New York. So it's obviously a fantastic opportunity. If you're in 4th year and you get it, it really sets you up for your career after Heriot-Watt University. What all of these people had in common with you guys is that they had a passion for languages. So they went to an open day as well. They also wanted to study languages, but they came here because they saw that we turn that passion into languages, into concrete skills. We teach languages in a different way to the traditional model, and that's the net result. One final slide. We have presence on social media. We have an account for links specifically to language and intercultural studies for the School of Social Sciences and for British Sign Language. If you're interested in finding out what it's like here day to day, these accounts are very active. I do encourage you to follow them if you have a Twitter account. If you want to find out a little bit more about links, there's a blog online that releases or publishes articles on a maybe 2-week basis, 3-week basis, or fairly frequently. And I know that as well because I run the blog, and there's stuff like profile of students, the kind of research that we do here, the events that we're involved in, the opportunities that we offer. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit about that, visit the Life in Links blog. And with that, thank you very much for listening to me. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. All the information was there, no questions. That's great. Well, it's not your last opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to offer you a guided tour now, so it's 2:45. At 2:55, let's say, at 2:55 we can meet outside the EBS building here for those of you interested in taking the tour, and we'll just make the short trip over to Henry Prize where I can show you the facilities that I just spoke about, and you can ask questions then as well. Okay, thank you very much, folks.